On Wednesday, September 10th, America witnessed another tragedy, one that cut deep into the heart of our already divided nation. Charlie Kirk, a prominent conservative voice, husband, and father of two, was murdered in broad daylight while speaking at Utah Valley University in Orem. What was meant to be a day of debate and discussion, an exercise in free speech, became a day of silence, fear, and grief. Charlie Kirk was no stranger to controversy. He had dedicated his life to politics from a very young age. At just 18, he founded Turning Point USA, an organization focused on promoting conservative views across schools and universities. Through his podcast, social media presence, and campus tours, he reached millions. To his supporters, he was a fighter for freedom of speech and traditional values. To his critics, he was a provocateur. But whether you agreed with him or not, one fact is undeniable. He was a father who loved his family, a husband who left home that morning not knowing he would never return. And that is what makes this story bigger than politics. As the campus event unfolded, students gathered under a tent where Kirk was speaking. Phone footage later revealed the chilling moments just before the attack. On a rooftop about 430 feet away, a figure lay in a prone position, armed with a high-powered bolt-action rifle. Kirk was mid-conversation with a student when the single shot was fired. He collapsed instantly. Panic rippled through the crowd. Some students screamed and ducked for cover, while others froze in disbelief. First responders rushed Kirk to Timpanogos Regional Hospital, but the wound was catastrophic. He was pronounced dead soon after. Authorities wasted no time. A massive manhunt began, with heavily armed officers combing nearby neighborhoods. Surveillance footage showed the suspect, dressed in black, running from the rooftop where the shot was fired. Within hours, the FBI released photos and announced a $100,000 reward for information. Pressure mounted. Two suspects were briefly taken into custody, but later released. For 24 hours, the shooter seemed to have vanished. The breakthrough came when Tyler Robinson, a 24-year-old from Washington, Utah, reportedly confessed to his father, a veteran law enforcement officer. His father, shocked, shared the information with a family friend who then contacted authorities. By Thursday evening, Robinson surrendered in St. George, about 250 miles away. Investigators soon uncovered Discord messages Robinson had sent, discussing retrieving rifles from hidden locations, leaving weapons in bushes, and even engraving phrases on bullets. Some inscriptions included political slogans, others bizarre memes intended to mock. The picture that emerged was chilling. A young man consumed by political hatred, blending serious ideology with internet trolling culture, and ultimately crossing a line that can never be uncrossed. In the aftermath, leaders responded swiftly. President Trump, who had long considered Kirk an ally, placed blame on what he described as the rhetoric of the radical left. He argued that for years, conservatives had been unfairly vilified and dehumanized, and that this—
For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now.
Utah's governor offered a different perspective, warning that meeting hate with more hate would only deepen the cycle.
We can return violence with violence. We can return hate with hate. And that's the problem with political violence, is it metastasizes, because we can always point the finger at the other side. And at some point, we have to find an off-ramp, or it's going to get much, much worse.
And this is where the story becomes bigger than one man, one ideology, or even one crime. Charlie Kirk's assassination is not just a tragedy for his family or for his supporters. It is a tragedy for America. Because when political disagreements lead to violence, we all lose. No matter what you thought of Charlie Kirk, whether you loved him, disliked him, or disagreed with every word he said, his right to speak and live without fear was the same right guaranteed to all of us. No American deserves to be shot for their beliefs. Not Charlie Kirk, not anyone. This moment forces us to reflect on the kind of country we want to be. Do we want a nation where debates are settled with bullets instead of words? where our political opponents are treated as enemies instead of fellow citizens? Or do we want an America where disagreements can be passionate, even fierce, but never deadly? The American dream was never meant to be about hatred or division. It was built on the idea that every person, no matter their race, religion, or politics, deserves the chance to live free, raise their family in peace, and pursue happiness. If we allow violence to become the language of politics, we destroy that dream. But if we choose love over hate, unity over division, and respect over violence, we keep the dream alive. Charlie Kirk's death is a reminder that words matter, choices matter, and that every one of us has a role to play in shaping the future of this nation. We honor his memory not by agreeing with everything he said, but by making sure no one else, on the left, right, or anywhere in between, ever faces the same fate. Because America is strongest when we are united, and the only way forward is together.